You're listening to the Life Coaching Secrets Podcast, episode 235.
Did you know that life coaches are needed now more than ever? I'm Frank Macri, founder of Thriving Coach Academy. I've trained over 1,000 coaches and helped them launch their own successful coaching businesses. If you want to make an incredible income and impact as a coach and have a lot of fun doing it, I'll show you exactly how to get it done. This is Life Coaching Secrets.
What's up, coaches? In this episode, we're going to ruffle some feathers. I am going to share something I've been wanting to speak on for a long time, and it is on one of the most garbage ideas going around in the self-help space and the personal development industry. And it's been going around for so many years. And it's the idea that you have to believe that you're good enough. We are going to flip everything you've probably learned about believing in yourself. We're going to flip it upside down in this episode, and I'm going to share why having the thought I'm not good enough is actually a great thought to have. And I'm going to share why you don't need to force yourself to believe in yourself in order to create an extraordinary life. So what if you don't need to believe that you're good enough? What if it's actually not even a problem when you have that thought come up, right? Think about some kind of area of your life where you currently think that you're not good enough or not blank enough. Fill in the blank with whatever. Not smart enough, articulate enough, attractive enough, confident enough, whatever it is. But what if having that doubt is one of the best things that can drive you forward? Okay, I'm going to show you why you can still take action. You can still build the business, fall in love, have an amazing life, even if you still have doubts, even if you still don't think you're good enough. And it's probably going to sound very opposite from what so many other self-help gurus or people in this space talk about. So buckle up because we are going to go deep. Okay, my biggest takeaway that I want you to have for this episode is that you don't have to believe you're good enough to do something extraordinary. You don't have to believe you're good enough at all. Even though there's an obsession out there with thinking that you need to fix your doubts, right? You need to force positive thoughts. Even when I went through coach training many years ago, when I went through this well-known training program, so much of the program was about, nope, you've got to get rid of your doubts. You've got to force a positive thought onto that negative thought. And I would use this with clients, and I realized that something was missing. Like it was like trying to fit a square peg into a circular hole. Like it just didn't work. And the clients would just end up rebounding, and they'd still have their doubts, and then they wouldn't be able to believe their new positive thoughts, and that caused them to doubt themselves even more. So I realized, what if this is not the best approach? What if trying to force a positive belief is actually what's holding people back? It is a major assumption to think that a limiting belief must be replaced before you can grow. What if you don't have to believe you're good enough? You just have to be willing to act. And I want you to think about a bold move that you've made in your life, a big decision, or a time when you've experienced success, or a time when you've just grown the most. Think about an experience that comes to mind. You likely still had thoughts that you were not good enough, right? There were probably some doubts you still had. And that's not a problem. That's part of being a human. So your doubts don't need to be fixed. You don't need to believe that you're smart enough to build a wildly successful business. Okay, if you're listening to this wanting to be a successful coach, you don't have to believe that you are smart enough to build a successful business. You don't have to believe you're lovable to fall into the most beautiful, soul-filling relationship. You don't have to believe that you're worthy of being seen to make an impact with your message. Now, I relate so deeply to what we're talking about here because over a decade ago, when I got into the coaching industry, I had so many doubts. I didn't think that I was good enough. I didn't think I was wise enough. I didn't think I was confident enough. And I tried to fix those doubts for so long. And then eventually I realized the doubts are not going to go away. So instead of trying to fix them, I let them be. And I had a new mindset. And that new mindset was, I care about people. I know I have something to offer, and I'm going to give this my best shot, even if I'm full of doubt. Even if I'm full of doubt, I'm going to give this my best shot. And to this day, I still have doubts that come up. There's no turning off an emotion. You can't just turn off your doubts, right? You're going to experience all of the spectrum of emotions in your life, but what makes someone go from having an ordinary to an extraordinary life is not being able to turn off their doubts. It's being able to shift their relationship with their doubts. So even to this day, when I get ready to present or do a training or whatever it is, lead a call, there still could be doubt that shows up for me, but I don't give in to the doubt and I don't try to fix it or change it. I just show up and do it anyway. So what if the goal is to not convince yourself that you're good enough? But what if the goal instead is to just stop letting that question run the show? It's so liberating to stop trying to fix your beliefs, your doubts, and just live fully anyway. So let's talk about the thought, I'm not good enough. Let's break it down a little bit farther. Sometimes when you think that you are not good enough, and you could put anything in there, fill in the blank, you are not blank enough. Sometimes it's a simple fact, right? So sometimes it's just simply a fact, and that's okay. You don't have to live in delusion and thinking that you are good at things that you are not good at, that you're just simply learning. So I want to talk about the skill side of not being good enough, right? You might genuinely not be good enough at a skill. When we are starting to learn something, you are not going to be good at it. When I started to learn piano, I was not good enough at piano, right? When you start to learn coaching, you're not going to be good enough at coaching, but this goes true for learning any new skill. It would be so wild to think that you have to force yourself to think that you're good enough when the fact is you're not. You're just simply learning. So you might not be good enough yet at something, but that's not a problem. That's just a signpost pointing you where you have room to grow. So it's useful to know when you're not good enough at something, because it's simply an opportunity to see where you can learn, where you can receive mentorship and guidance, what you need to learn in order to evolve in your skill. Right? Like when you're born, you are not good enough at talking. You're not good enough at walking when you're born as a baby. But we don't sit a baby down and say, no, you know what? You're good enough. There's no need for you to improve. The baby would not learn anything. So it might sound a little odd and discouraging on the surface, but for most things in life, you're not good enough skill-wise, and that's not a flaw. That's just simply a reality, right? You might not be good enough at speaking Mandarin Chinese to have a very nuanced conversation with someone in China. You might not be good enough at tennis to compete professionally in a competition. You might not be good enough at weightlifting to enter into like a weightlifting competition. So when you really think about it, most things in life you're not good enough at, and you probably never will be. Isn't that, it sounds like kind of discouraging to think that, but it's also very liberating, right? Because it means there's nothing wrong with you. It just means like those are skills that you haven't been trained in yet. Coaching is just simply a skill, right? I for most things in life, I know I am not good enough at those things, but I decide what do I want to get good enough at, and I just devote myself to learning and mastering that thing, but not expecting it to happen overnight. Like for me, coaching was the first skill in my adult life that I really doubled down on and wanted to master. I wanted to learn the skill of coaching because I knew like that was the ultimate life skill that's going to help me achieve other goals and accelerate other goals. It's going to help me get good enough at other things. Now it's been a lot more tennis and piano. Those are things that I'm getting better at them week by week through mentorship, coaching, and practice. So if you think about getting into coaching and you think, well, I'm not good enough as a coach, I don't feel confident. Of course you don't, right? Confidence only comes through practice and experience and feedback, right? I'm working on an episode right now where I'm going to deconstruct the idea of confidence, because a lot of people just think I don't feel confident, so therefore maybe I shouldn't do it or pursue it or continue to learn. Confidence comes later on, right? You earn, it's not just like a feeling that you force yourself to believe. It's a result that you earn through practice by doing it even when you feel doubt. So it's not that there's anything wrong with you if you're not good enough at a certain skill. You just got to tell yourself, I just need to learn that skill, right? It's nothing wrong with who you are. So if you think I'm not good enough at coaching, I'm not good enough at speaking this language, you just think, oh, I just need to learn that thing. I might not be good enough at it yet, but I can learn. You're capable of learning that thing. Doesn't mean that you're broken by having the thought or just being in the reality that you're not good enough at something. Doesn't mean that you're not cut out for it. It just means that you are at the beginning of a learning curve. That's all it means. Doesn't mean you should stop or quit or not give yourself the chance. You're just at the beginning phase of a learning curve. Now, isn't that way more empowering when you can embrace the I'm not good enough rather than try to force yourself to believe something that's just not true? Right? So in moments when you're thinking I'm not good enough, think about what is actually going to, what's actually more useful. Instead of like forcing yourself to think you're good enough, you can just think thoughts or ask yourself questions like, who can teach this to me? Where can I learn this? Or like, what kind of education or training will help close that gap? This is the fast track to actually get good enough at a skill. The second that I decided I wanted to learn piano, I thought, okay, well, who's going to be a piano mentor and coach to help me out? And I went and hired one right away. And I'm on my 5th year with piano. I've invested over $10,000 in getting mentorship and coaching on it, and it's been worth every single penny. And I know that if I didn't get that support, I would be I'm not good enough would still be there, where now I've built up so much more confidence because of getting the support, embracing the learning curve, and not trying to go at it alone. The moment that you think that you're not good enough, don't make it mean something about you. Just see it as a signal to learn. And then when you realize that, your progress will become inevitable. And the same exact thing goes for marketing. So sometimes people, they feel good about becoming a coach, but they don't feel good about marketing themselves as a coach. Marketing is a skill. All skills have the same psychology around them. Learning an instrument, learning a language, learning coaching, learning marketing. It's just simply a skill, and all skills are learnable. So you might not be good enough at marketing yet, but this is also something that you learn. It's also something like we teach all of our students the business side of coaching in our program, because we want you to know both the skill of coaching and the skill of marketing, because it's not really useful to just learn the skill of coaching if you don't know how to market yourself. So we make sure you know both. But I want you to understand that you can learn marketing. It is a learnable skill, just like you learn how to drive a car or ride a bike or swim or play a sport. It's simply the same exact thing. It takes some time, takes some practice, takes some training. You don't need to be naturally charismatic, naturally loud. You just need to develop the skill of marketing, which is just about communicating your value and connecting with people. That's really all that it comes down to. So it's normal to have skill gaps. It's just data. It's not a judgment. You don't need to pretend you're good enough, because that's not going to help you build confidence. It's just going to build delusion. It's going to keep you delulu. I love that word, delulu. So what's better is just to say the truth. I'm not good enough at this right now, but I can learn, I can grow, I can improve. Okay? Growth doesn't come from pretending you're already great. It comes from being honest about where you are right now and committing to where you're going. So yes, maybe right now you're not good enough yet, and that's not a problem. That's just the starting line. All right, so the other side of this I'm not good enough I want to talk about is thinking that if you're not good enough as a person, okay? Like believing that you're just not good enough as a person. So when we think about like being good enough in general, what does that even really mean? Like, who decides where that bar is, and why do so many people spend their lives chasing it like there's a finish line? There's no official checklist for worthiness. There's no universal standard that says, okay, you've done enough. You are now a valid human. Yet so many people live like there is. They're waiting until they feel accomplished enough, smart enough, attractive enough before they allow themselves to take action or show up or just believe in their own value. And this is a trap, right? Even if you check off every box that you think will finally make you feel good enough, that feeling is fleeting. The doubt will creep back in. The bar always moves. Your mind will find a new reason to question yourself. So trying to reach some mythical status of being good enough is a game that you will never win. But even worse, it keeps people from starting until they believe something that may never come naturally to them. So this causes people to delay their dreams. They wait to start until they feel worthy, instead of just realizing that worthiness was never meant to be earned in the first place. Okay, so you don't need to feel good enough to do great things. Some of the most driven, accomplished people in the world never fully feel good enough. And that's not a failure. That's often the fuel that they use. They don't wait until the doubt disappears. They don't wait until the confidence feels solid or until they are feeling fully healed, whole, and worthy. They move with the doubt. So is this starting to make sense? You're always going to feel like part of you is not good enough and not worthy. The bar is always going to move. So instead of waiting for you to reach this, it's like trying to chase a carrot on a stick. You're always striving, you're never arriving. So instead of trying to play this unwinnable game, you can make these bold moves and just let the doubt be there, right? You don't need to believe in yourself to show up powerfully. You don't need to feel worthy to make a difference. You don't need to feel confident, healed, and complete before you can do something meaningful. It's become socially acceptable, a socially acceptable way of procrastinating. But people call it, I'm doing my inner work. I'm doing my self-work. But it's really just procrastination, right? By just telling yourself that. You don't need to do that work. You can begin even with the doubts. So what does it actually sound like in real life to embody this? Here, I'm going to give you some thoughts to try on. You can have doubts and still share something valuable. You can have doubts and still share something valuable. You can feel insecure and still help someone change their life. You can question yourself and still take bold action. You can feel behind and still move forward. You can feel unqualified and still learn in public. Okay, greatness is not built on having total certainty in yourself. It's built on willingness. So I talked about this in a couple episodes ago, willing to show up even before you feel ready, willing to take action even before the confidence is there, willing to let your actions lead your beliefs instead of the other way around. Okay, action will create the confidence. When you stop requiring yourself to feel good enough before you begin, you'll realize something freeing, which is that you're never meant to feel perfect first. You were meant to move and let the feeling catch up later. Like there's so many coaching frameworks I've heard of that are so limiting, and it just makes me want to pull out my eyelashes when I hear it, because so many people will say, well, first you need to start with having the thought. And then when you have that thought, then you're going to feel confident. And then when you feel confident, then you can take the action. When we've got to flip that upside down. You don't need to have a certain thought or feeling before you can take action. You can still take whatever action you want regardless of the feelings that you have. And those feelings are going to be doubt, especially when you're stretching yourself and growing. You're going to have a mixture of doubt and excitement. You're not going to feel confident. So you've got to move even when the doubts are there. You've got to let the I'm not good enough be there. So I want to go a little bit farther. Hopefully you're loving this right now. And I really want to prove why the thought I'm not good enough can actually be really powerful for you to have in your life. So it's often a thought that you're stretching yourself, right? When you think I'm not good enough, you usually will have that thought right before you're about to grow. You don't think I'm not good enough while you're brushing your teeth or scrolling around on Netflix, right? When you're doing something that's very comfortable or routine. You would have the thought, I'm not good enough, when you're about to start something big, like start a business or apply for a job, go on a date, write a book, take a risk. That's when you're going to have the thought. So rather than thinking it's a red flag, I want you to see it as a green light. It is a sign that you're playing at your edge. Right? People will never think I'm not good enough, or rather, people who never think I'm not good enough are often playing small. Okay, if you know anybody that doesn't have the thought, it means they're playing small. They're avoiding anything in their life that's challenging or expanding them. The other reason why I'm not good enough is a powerful thought is because it can really drive mastery and growth. Right? When you have the thought I'm not good enough, it can really activate curiosity, humility, and hunger. It makes you ask yourself, how can I get better? What would it take to really improve? What's the next level that I haven't reached yet? Every Olympic athlete, artist, successful entrepreneur, they've had moments where they've thought I'm not good enough, but that thought becomes fuel. It doesn't become failure. It's fuel. It sparks discipline. It sparks innovation. It sparks perseverance. So if you thought you were good enough, right? If you really have the thought I'm good enough, don't you realize that might cause you to stop learning and growing? It might shut you down to evolution. The best coaches that I've seen and trained and met are the coaches that still think, even partially, that they're not good enough. Ironically, this allows them to become the best of the best because they let that thought still be there. That thought keeps them grounded. It keeps them teachable. When you allow the thought to be there that you're not good enough, it keeps you open to feedback and learning. Most successful people believe in some way that they're still not good enough, and they are aware of their gaps. And that's why they're so great, because they keep that awareness. So you don't have to fix the I'm not good enough thought. You don't have to fix it to take action. Even if you think that you're not good enough, you still can do the thing, whatever the thing is for you, right? You can still feel not good enough and hit publish or post. You can feel not good enough and still sign on coaching clients. You can feel not good enough and still fall in love. It's not a prerequisite that you need confidence first to take action. Confidence is built by taking that action even while you don't feel good enough. So you don't have to reject I'm not good enough. You just have to reposition it. Think of it like it's background noise. You can still move with that thought. So instead of wasting energy trying to convince yourself you're not good enough, what if you put that energy where it actually creates change to take action with the doubt being there? Because as I've shared, the doubt's not going to go away by trying to think it away, by just trying to force positive thoughts. A lot of people are burning this mental energy running internal debates thinking, well, maybe should I wait until I feel more confident? What if I'm not ready yet? Am I actually good enough? This is all a waste of your energy. You can take all that energy and just use it to take one imperfect step forward. You don't need the doubt to disappear to act. You just need to stop treating your doubts like a stop sign. The people who make progress are not the ones who finally believe they're good enough. They're ones who just decide that belief is optional, right? You don't need certainty. You can figure it out as you go. You can figure it out as you go. And there's a concept that I share with our coaches. I call it the aliveness formula. When you think about what really makes you feel alive, it's often a mixture of doubt plus excitement, right? Doubt plus excitement is what creates aliveness. So if you think about the moments in your life that mattered the most, moments you've started something new, took a leap of faith, put yourself out there, what did they all have in common? You probably felt some doubt and some excitement. And those are the moments where you feel the most alive, right? So these are the moments that make life so worth living and so meaningful. Not those perfectly polished moments, but those moments that are thrilling, messy, and vulnerable, right? You should feel a little scared when you're expanding your identity. Having that mix of emotions is not a problem. It's a sign that you are a human. So if you feel that you're fear and doubt, are happening with excitement all at once, that's not a warning. That's an invitation that you are exactly where you are meant to be. So I'm going to give you some reflective questions as we start wrapping up the episode. One question is, where in your life are you waiting to feel good enough before taking action? What if you didn't need to believe in yourself, but just be willing to begin? What might change if you stop trying to fix that thought and just move forward anyway? What would you do today if you let doubt ride in the backseat instead of drive the car, right? The thought I'm not good enough is only a problem when you believe that it has to be solved, but it's just a natural part of growth. You just have to decide to move forward anyway, even with the fear, even with the doubts, even with the voice in your head that isn't convinced yet, because that is what changes everything. The people who create extraordinary lives are not the ones who feel the most worthy. They're the ones who feel all of the same insecurities that you have, but they show up anyway. They stop trying to fix their self-doubts and they start outgrowing it. So the next time that you hear that voice saying you're not good enough, instead of arguing with that, smile. Smile and say, maybe I am not good enough, not yet. And move forward anyway. That's how you live. That is how you grow. All right, that's what I got in this episode. If you're enjoying the podcast, take a moment, leave us a 5-star review. I love reading them. And before you go, I'm going to leave an interview that I had with one of our coaches who went through Thriving Coach Academy, so you can hear about their experience, but more importantly, some of their tips for how you can become successful as a coach. Enjoy their story, and I will see you in the next episode.
This is Yamato Yoshioka. I'm a student with TCA. I started late February this year, and I'm still an active student for about over 8 years now. I had a huge life event that made me really rethink about my own life and what values I want to bring to my life, and serving people was one of them. And so it's taken me a long time, but as soon as I kind of pictured myself coaching, I knew this was it. Currently work as a senior level manager at a global company. And I've had the last 20 years with this company. You know, I've been challenged. I've grown a lot, grown in influence, positions, promotions. And at the same time, I knew this wasn't my final destination and I wanted something different. And like I mentioned, developing and mentoring and helping others and serving others was that missing piece. And so I knew I was destined for something else when I arrived at coaching. So I did like a decision analysis. I lined up probably eight different academies and programs. And I was looking for a few things in particular, obviously coaching skills, but business skills. And I definitely wanted a program that had practicing and real-time feedback of coaching. And then one thing that really also drew me to TCA was the lifetime support, which was it was definitely a bonus compared to the other programs. And I remember giving myself like 1 week, because I could have just continued on with the decision forever. I gave myself 1 week, but as a complete package, TCA was definitely what stood out for me. Just seeing the impact to the clients that I've already been able to create has been a huge, coming from a place of service, it's been so enlightening and energizing. So I signed up, I think it was late February. I had pro bono clients like in March. And first paying client was in late May. And I've had 2 others since. Honestly, the timeline is surprising. I kind of keep notes and I look back at my own growth and what I had charted out as an image when I didn't really know anything, and what's actually happening is happening so much faster. There's no doubt about that. The flexibility of time and location to do this business is a huge benefit for me. Wife and I have 5 kids and it's very busy, so having a flexible schedule is something that I look forward to on the personal side. If you're somebody that's considering the academy, you're probably at a moment or at a time in your life where, you're kind of drawn to this for a reason. one of the things I think that happens is the fear of starting, which I definitely experienced, is you downplay your ability to be successful and then you sort of overvalue the status quo. And looking back on that decision to start, I completely see the equation the other way. The success ability is exponential when you jump in, and then it really shows the cost of status quo was really, really high. Like, I really, looking back, I wouldn't want to be there. So that's what I would tell, is definitely the upside is huge, and status quo, the cost of it is also bigger than you probably think. In the program, I'd say the advice for students to be successful is, one, to know that you have your own uniqueness. I'm definitely finding that we all students that I've been working with in the academy, we all have very different backgrounds. We all have very different styles and personalities, and it all works. We're all unique, and we're all going to have unique clients that are drawn to us. My advice would be to not compare yourself too much to others, but to actually find how you're unique.
Hey, would you like access to powerful coaching tools you can use on yourself and clients right away? For being a listener of the podcast, I'm giving you a VIP guest pass to get a sneak peek into my coach training program. Inside, you'll learn our coach's secret tool they use to transform their clients' lives. And you'll also get a training on how to launch a coaching business. Just head over to www.thrivingcoachacademy.com/VIP to get started. I'll see you on the inside.